Welcome, y'all. This is a recording for the Colorado Balance of State Continuum of Care overview for HUD's CoCBuilds Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFA. My name is Natalie Georgalis. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Balance of State Continuum of Care specialist at the Division of Housing. The Division of Housing is the lead agency for the Balance of State Continuum of Care. One thing I want to note before we get started is that the CoCBuilds NOFO is different than the COC NOFO. I know that's a bit confusing, but the CoC NOFO, which is our annual funding opportunity, is different. So today I'm covering the CoCBuilds Notice of Funding Opportunity. This CoCBuilds is brand new, and it is one-time funding that is focused on adding new units of permanent supportive housing, or PSH, for new construction, acquisition, or rehabilitation. There's a total of $175 million available through this funding opportunity. However, $65 million of it is set aside for states that have a population of less than 2.5 million. So this is not available to Colorado. This funding is quite competitive. HUD expects to make only about 25 awards in total through the CoCBuilds. I did want to point out, though, that 3 of these awards will be set aside for the highest scoring projects where PSH units are located on tribal reservations or trust land. All COCs can only put forth one project. However, the Balance of State CoC can put forth a second project if it is located on tribal reservation or trust land. So this is different than our typical funding process. We can only put forth one project and then a second if it's located on tribal land. The minimum award for this project is $1 million, and the maximum award is $5 million, and tribal projects have a maximum of $9.5 million. HUD has a few 6 goals for this competition. They're hoping to increase housing opportunities for people with high levels of need or high risk of need through permanent supportive housing units, increasing the supply of those PSH units to help address individuals and families who are experiencing homelessness where one member of the household has a disability. They're encouraging a lot of coordination through housing providers, healthcare, and social service providers. I mentioned this already, but ensuring resources and new opportunities for states with populations that are less than 2.5 million. They also have a priority and a goal of getting new units located near local services that are within walking distance or near reliable transportation services. And then also furthering fair housing by addressing barriers through this funding opportunity. These are all located within the NOFO itself, which we recommend you read the entirety of, but wanted to pull out these goals for this competition. So the eligible activities and costs through the CoCBuilds. Eligible activities include acquisition, rehabilitation, new construction, as well as project-based rental assistance. And then there is also supportive services, operating costs, and administrative costs in this grant. However, majority of the funding is required to go towards those capital costs that I listed off first. No more than 20% can be used for supportive services or operating costs, and no more than 10% of that may be used for project administration costs. This grant also has a typical 25% match that can be done through cash or in kind. A bit about the application process for CoCBuilds. This is quite different than our typical NOFO process. So for CoCBuilds, all applications must be submitted directly to the Balance of State CoC. This will be done by emailing your application to our NOFO email. This is all listed with the full instructions in our Balance of State CoCBuilds RFP, which is linked in these slides. It's also on our website and was sent out to our mailing list that hopefully y'all are on. If not, I have a way that you can sign up at the end. But applications must be submitted this way, so through our email. Before applying, a letter of intent must be submitted first. This is already live. It must be submitted through a Google form that is linked in these slides, also posted on our website and sent out in an email. This letter of intent is non-binding. So if you think you're going to apply, please submit a letter of intent because it is required in order to apply. But if something changes after the LOI is submitted, that's okay. It's a non-binding form. The letter of intent is due by September 20th, 2024. Once the letter of intent is submitted, full application will be submitted after that. And this must be submitted by October 31st. I have a slide with all the deadlines in just a moment. After the full application is submitted to the balance of state, our project rating and ranking committee will review and score projects, and one application will be submitted and recommended to the governing board. The balance of state will then submit that full and final application project via grants.gov. And I know I mentioned this earlier, I don't have it on the slide. So one clarification, if we get a second project that is on tribal land, 2 applications could be selected and recommended to the governing board. Okay, those key dates and timelines that I mentioned. The first one, September 20th, that letter of intent to apply is due through the Google form. October 31st is when the applications are due to be emailed to the balance of state COC. Those full instructions can be found in the RFP. We also recommend, and it's required, to read through the full CoCBuilds NOFA, just to make sure that you fully understand the opportunity and the application before actually submitting. We will notify applicants of our selection and recommendation on November 8th, and then the balance of state governing board will vote on that on November 13th. These are marked tentative because if we receive a high amount of applications, which would be great, we may have to push these back a little bit. So if we receive tons of applications, these dates may change. That's why they're tentative. All updates will be posted on our website. But right now, those are our tentative dates. We will submit the full application to HUD on November 18th because the final deadline is November 21st. And we always want to give a few days of buffer time just in case the website crashes, something goes wrong. So the balance of state will be submitting our final application on November 18th so that we are ahead of the game on that November 21st deadline. Here I have our balance of state NOFA email that any questions can be submitted to, and our balance of state team will get back to you. We also have a QR code here that you can sign up for our newsletter. That's where we send out all relevant information, like the balance of state, the CoCBuilds letter of intent, and RFP as well. So please sign up for our newsletter. If you haven't already, email us with questions about this opportunity, about getting signed up for our newsletter. We're here to help you and hopefully answer all of your questions. Thanks, y'all.